To learn programming. You know that feeling, right? That wall of red error text that just pops up and makes you feel like you've completely failed. But what if I told you those errors aren't your enemy? What if they're actually clues? Well, today we're going to decode those bugs and demystify Python errors for good.
First, let's get some perspective here. Did you know that even the top professional programmers, the best in the world, spend about half of their time fixing mistakes? That's right, 50%. So if you're hitting these roadblocks, you're not doing anything wrong. You're actually doing exactly what programming is all about. So let's get on the same page with the lingo. A mistake in your code? We call that a bug. And all that detective work you do to hunt it down and fix it, that's debugging. See? It's a fundamental skill, not a sign that you're messing up.
And that brings us to the most important mindset shift you can make. That red text isn't Python yelling at you for getting it wrong. No way! It's Python trying to help you. It's leaving you a breadcrumb trail, a clue to solve the puzzle.
Think of it like this. If a recipe said, add 2 cups of flour, you wouldn't panic, right? You'd immediately know it's just a typo for flour. Well, a name error in Python is the exact same thing. The computer is just saying, hey, I think you have a typo here. It's a clue, not a crisis.
So where do most of these bugs even come from? Well, especially when you're starting out, they almost always fall into one of 3 main categories. Let's go ahead and meet the usual suspects.
Okay, so here they are. We've got the syntax error, which is basically a grammar mistake. Then there's the name error, which we'll think of as looking for a missing jar in the kitchen. And finally, the type error, which is exactly what it sounds like, trying to mix apples and oranges.
First up, the syntax error. This is the code version of forgetting to put a period at the end of a sentence. Python has its own grammar, its own set of rules, and if you forget a piece of it, like the little colon that's supposed to go at the end of this if statement, Python will just politely let you know.
Next up, our friend the name error, or as I like to call it, the missing jar. Imagine you create a variable, a jar, and you label it name. But then you ask Python to show you what's in the jar labeled NME. You misspelled it. Python's just looking at you saying, sorry, I can't find that jar anywhere.
And our third culprit is the type error. Honestly, this one is just common sense. You can't add a word to a number, right? In this example, we're trying to add the text character, 5, to the number 10. And Python just stops you because that's like trying to mix apples and oranges. It just doesn't compute.
Okay, so we know what the most common bugs look like. But how do we actually find them when they're hiding in our code? Well, let's talk about your first and maybe your most powerful debugging tool. It's so simple, it's brilliant.
It's called the print trick. It's super easy. When your code breaks, you just go to the line right before the crash and you add a print statement. This lets you peek inside your variables at that exact moment and see what's really going on. It's basically like leaning over and asking your code, hey, what are you thinking right now?
All right, enough theory. The best way to learn this stuff is to do it. So now, it's your turn to be the detective. I'm about to show you a tiny piece of code, and you're going to solve your very first case. You ready? You've got about 30 seconds. Look at the code on the next slide, and based on what we just talked about, tell me, why is this code going to crash?
Okay, here it is. We have a variable called price, all lowercase, and we set it equal to 100. Then, in the next line, we try to print a variable called price with a capital P. Take a close look. What's the problem here?
If you said name error, you are 100% correct. Fantastic. This is a classic missing jar scenario. But do you know the specific reason why?
It all comes down to one crucial rule in most programming languages. They are case sensitive. This means that to the computer, price with a lowercase p and price with a capital P are 2 totally different things. They are 2 completely separate jars. You created the lowercase jar, but then you ask for the uppercase one, which just doesn't exist.
And just like that, you've done it. You've diagnosed one of the most common errors a programmer will ever see. You now have the right mindset and the basic tools to start tackling any bug that comes your way. Seriously. So, I'll leave you with this thought. Now that you see how these scary errors are actually just simple clues, what's the first bug in your own code that you're ready to go back and solve right now?
Hey, if this helped you see errors in a new light, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help other learners who are feeling stuck find this guide and start decoding their own bugs. Thanks so much for watching.